So that's the articulation study number 1 from the Rubank Advanced Method Volume 2. And in this etude, they don't give you a specific beats per minute speed for you to play it, but they do indicate that you should play it as fast as you reasonably can. So a few things that typically trip people up in this particular example. One is that the note groupings aren't always going to be the same number of notes. So sometimes you have 3 notes slurred, sometimes you have 2 notes slurred, sometimes they're not on the actual beat, sometimes they're on the off beat or the and of the beat. So you have to be really careful about where you're articulating. It is an articulation study. You have to make sure you're careful about where you're articulating and to make sure that you're slurring the note groupings as indicated, whether it's 3 notes in the slur or 2 notes or even more than a measure in some of the cases. Something else to watch for, there's a tricky finger transition. So towards the end of the example, you're slurring from D to A flat, and sometimes that can be a little bit of a tricky transition. So D, our D above the staff, and then switching to high A flat. So you're having to go from fingers 1 and 2 and your thumb to sort of flip-flopping, right? So you're going to press your pinky down, but also lift your thumb for that transition. And sometimes A flat doesn't want to speak extremely clearly. So you want to make sure that when you're making that slurred transition from D to A flat, that your air is speeding up super fast like a laser beam on that transition, that finger transition, so that the A flat speaks clearly in that transition. Also making sure that you're not cutting off notes too fast. So most of the notes that we see in this example are eighth notes, but occasionally at the ends of the phrases, you've got a quarter note. And so sometimes the tendency is just to stay in eighth note mode and to chop those notes, those quarter notes off. Make sure that you're holding them for the full amount, the full duration of the note. All right, so that's a little bit of help on the articulation exercise number 1 in the Rubank Advanced Method Volume 2. If you have other questions about it, feel free to leave a comment and I'll maybe feature it in an upcoming video.